this video, we're going to look at how can we determine if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither based off their equation or other given information about the lines. So the key thing we need to remember is the properties that parallel and perpendicular lines have. So parallel lines, they have the same slope and different y-intercepts. Where perpendicular lines, they have opposite, I'm going to abbreviate here, reciprocal slopes, and their y-intercepts can be the same or different. Okay, so the key thing here that we're going to focus on first is the slopes, and then we'll take a second look to confirm when we look at the y-intercepts. So let's look at our first equations here. So number one says y equals negative 2x plus 1, and the second equation is y equals negative 2x minus 4. So the first thing we're going to do is identify those slopes. So remember that the slope-intercept form of the equation is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope. So in this top equation, the slope would then be negative 2, and in the bottom equation, the slope is also negative 2. So we go up to our rules for parallel and perpendicular. Same slope means parallel. We have to confirm, are the y-intercepts different? And they are. So these lines are in fact parallel because they have the same slope but different y-intercepts. So for the next one. Number 2. It says y is equal to 3x minus 4 and y is equal to negative 3x plus 1. So again, we look at the slopes. This line has a slope of 3, and this line has a slope of negative 3. So they aren't the same slope, so we know off the bat they're not parallel. But are they perpendicular? So remember, perpendicular lines have to have opposite reciprocal slopes, meaning not only do they need to change signs, but they also need to flip the fraction. So in this case, they did change signs from 3 to negative 3, but the fraction did not flip. So that does not work for this one, so these ones are actually going to be neither. Alright, third one. Y is equal to 1/5 x plus 2, and y is equal to negative 5x plus 6. Again, let's jump in, find the slopes. So this slope is 1/5. This slope is negative 5. So not parallel because those slopes are definitely not the same, but are they opposite reciprocals? Let's take a look. So the first slope was 1/5, so it was positive, so our slope should then change signs, which it does, to negative. And then the reciprocal means we have to flip the fraction. So if I flip 1/5, that's definitely become 5 over 1, which is 5. So yeah, these are opposite reciprocal slopes. So these lines are in fact perpendicular. Alright, let's take a look at a couple more, see if we can get any variation in this here. Let's see. So this is the next one, still set up in our y equals mx plus b form. So we just have to take a look at those slopes. This one has a slope of negative 2, and the bottom one has a slope of negative 1/2. So if we look at these slopes from negative 2 to negative 1/2, we definitely would see that these are reciprocals of each other, but they are not opposite, so they can't be perpendicular, and they're not parallel because they're not the same. So these are going to be neither. Alright, let's take a look at the next one, number 5 here. Okay, these two lines are not in slope-intercept form, so we don't really know what the slope of the line is. So what we have to do, we have to get it in this form, y is equal to mx plus b. To do that, we need to solve each equation for y. So let's take a look at the first one here. Let's start with 2y minus 3x is equal to negative 4. Again, I want to get y by itself. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that negative 3x by adding 3x to both sides. On this side, that's going to cancel, so I'm left with 2y is equal to. And on this side, I can't combine those, so I'm just going to write 3x minus 4. I'm going to continue to get y by itself by getting rid of this times 2 by dividing by 2. Now it's very important to remember to divide each term by 2. So we're left with y is equal to 3 over 2x minus 4 divided by 2, or 2. So that's our first equation. Y is equal to 3/2 x minus 2. Let's take a look at the next one. This next one, we got the same deal. We have to solve for the y. So let's get a different color here. So we start out with negative 6x plus 4y is equal to 4. Again, we got to solve this for y. So we need to get the x onto the other side. And get 4y is equal to 6x plus 4. Then we got to get rid of that times 4. So we're going to divide everything by 4. And we're left with y is equal 6 over 4x plus 4 divided by 4, which is 1. Now we can simplify that 6/4, and we'll simplify it when we rewrite it up here. 6/4 becomes 3 over 2x, and then plus 1. So the slope of our top line here, this pink one, is 3/2. The slope of the bottom line, the blue one, is also 3/2. So now that we solve for slope-intercept form, we can see that the slopes are the same, so these two lines are in fact parallel to each other. Okay, one more example here, and this one is a little different. Alright, so we have some information about these two lines. The first line goes through the points -6, -3, and 0, 2, and the second line goes through -5, 12, and 5, 0. So with this, what we need to do is again identify the slope of these lines. So to do that, we need to use, because we're given 2 points, the slope formula. Slope formula is change in y over change in x. So all we have to do is figure out, well, how did the y value change and how did the x value change? So what we're going to do to find this is we're going to take each y value and subtract them, -3 minus 2, over the x values and subtract them, -6 minus 0. Then we simplify that. -3 minus 2 is -5. -6 minus 0 is -6. And simplifying that one step further, we get 5 over 6 for this slope. Now let's come down to the bottom one, do the same thing, get the change in y over the change in x. So my y's are 12 and 0, so we're going to do 12 minus 0 over the change in our x's, -5 minus +5. And that's going to give us 12 over -10. Now again, we need to simplify this. So 12 over 10 would simplify to -6 over 5. Now if we compare our two slopes, let's write them out over here. We got 5, 6 going to -6/5. If we look at those two slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. So we can determine, because of this, that these two lines are in fact perpendicular to each other. Alright, so there's some good examples of how we can tell if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, based off of information given about the lines.